Just watching a hamster play the trumpet. Hi guys, welcome back to my videos. Oh, the dishwasher's decided to join us. Hello, yes, welcome. Welcome back to my videos. I have not done a sit down video since June, so do bear with me if I forget how to speak or can't talk properly, because I really have trouble stumbling over my words, so that might happen today. But I'm really excited to film this video because I had a lot of questions asking me if I was going to start up my YouTube again after doing my thoughts on 2020 video, which I really enjoyed filming, and thank you so much to everybody who sent me such lovely messages about that video, because it was quite a heartfelt video, and I'm just glad that everybody really liked it. This dishwasher is going to drive me insane. But today we are back, and I kind of want to change up my YouTube a little bit from doing fashion videos, just because I find them quite stressful to film. Because I have to move everything around. Actually, I filmed a reel, my first reel, yesterday, and you should have seen the state of the flat, because I literally had to move my table because I filmed it against that wall over there, and it stressed me out. But a reel I can do because it's a limit of 30 seconds, so it was quite quick for me to film it. So I think all my fashion content is going to stay on the blog and my Instagram, and I want YouTube to be more of a conversational space. I'm also thinking of doing vlogs again, because I have been thinking of doing those for quite a while, and I had a couple of people message me saying, why don't you do vlogs? So that might be something that I do in a few weeks time, once I've sort of got back on the ball with everything, and I have a bit more time at the weekend to actually film stuff. But yes, I'm really excited to be back. So let's get into today's video. First of all, I need to have a sip of this coffee because I've made it, and when you make things you should drink them. Oh, that really is just something else. So today's video is going to be about living on my own. For those of you who don't know, because actually I guess I haven't done a video since June, I should probably catch you up if you haven't been keeping in the loop with everything on my blog. I have moved into my own flat in Brighton now. I'm still in Brighton, well, technically in Hove. Absolutely loving it here. Everything else is still the same, but I basically just have my own flat now. This is it. It's very gorgeous. I love it very much. I'm very happy here. And if you want to see more photos of the blog, of the flat, then head to my blog, because I've got a full blog post on there showing you guys around, basically. So if you want to go see that, head to rayofstyle.co.uk. But yeah, so I live on my own now, and it's been a really wonderful experience, but I'm going to obviously talk more about that and answer some of your questions that you sent in. But yeah, so far, very good. So it's January at the moment, and I moved in September. I live on the seafront near Hove Lawns, but I'm not going to say exactly where, because obviously I don't want everybody knowing where I am. But yeah, it's near Hove Lawns. So I feel very lucky, and I just feel very happy to be here. But let's get into your questions, because you guys sent me lots. So okay, so the first question is, how has quarantine been living on your own? So this past year, with everything with COVID-19, it's been a whirlwind for everybody. But for me, I have to say, I can't really complain. And I understand that I'm in a complete position of privilege to be able to say that. But the thing is, with the first lockdown, I was still working as a nanny. And during that lockdown, I almost didn't feel anything had changed in a funny way. I was still going to work every day. I still had the children that I looked after every day. And I am so lucky that I had that job still, because honestly, it made lockdown so much easier. I literally had the best time. It was actually a really lovely time from last year. I absolutely loved it. So that part didn't feel much different. Then at the weekends, I just had more time to do content creation. So that lockdown didn't feel so bad. Then I moved here in September, and we went into another national lockdown in November, for the entirety of November. And again, even though I was living on my own in that one, I feel like the November, I don't know if anyone else feels like this, but I just feel like the November lockdown didn't happen. Like, it just didn't feel any different. I obviously like kept to the rules, and I'm very lucky that by that point, living alone, I was able to create a support bubble with a household of friends that I have. So 3 of my friends, Dan, Will and Becky, all live together. So I'm very lucky. I kind of got like 3 for the price of 1 with that. So that's my support bubble household, and I've basically only been seeing them. So yeah, in the November lockdown, it didn't feel too bad because I was working from home from that point because I had changed careers to digital marketing. So the working from home has been a bit of a tricky situation because you do feel quite trapped. At first, actually in that lockdown, I quite enjoyed it because I was like, this is great. I just get up and sit at my desk and do my work all day, and I can make lunch at home, and I quite enjoyed it. And I'll go on to this lockdown next, but yeah, that lockdown just didn't feel too different. I saw Becky, Dan and Will like a few evenings a week at the weekend and stuff. So that one didn't feel too different either. And then this lockdown started pretty much since Boxing Day. We went into level 4, tier 4 on Boxing Day, but that's pretty much a lockdown. And then we went into an official national lockdown a week after, maybe, I can't even remember. So pretty much since Christmas we've been in a lockdown, and I've only been seeing Dan, Becky and Will still. So this one I felt it's been a little bit harder, but really not that bad. Like, I honestly can't complain. I honestly am so grateful to have Becky, Dan and Will because I don't know what I would do without them. They've been a lifeline for me, but also in saying that, the times when I've not been with them, which is probably 90% of my time I'm here alone, I've honestly not disliked it. But then I'll go on to this more because a couple of the questions were about loneliness and like being alone with yourself. Just as an overall, I find that very comforting to be on my own. And so this lockdown, although it's been a bit trickier, just working from home has been like the biggest trigger for me because I feel like I can't, you know, when the weather's like really nice out, I can't go out for a walk because I have to do my work here. And I think that's what I've missed from the first lockdown when I was a nanny. If the weather was nice, we'd be in the park, even though it's lockdown, that was still legal. So stuff like that I miss quite a lot. But yeah, I can't complain too much. So how's quarantine been? It's not been that bad. I honestly can't complain. And I know that I'm in such a position of privilege to be able to say that. The next question was, how is cooking for one and cooking just for myself? I actually find that quite nice as well because I really enjoy cooking and I take a lot of pleasure in cooking. Coffee break. And I find the whole experience of cooking quite therapeutic. So I actually really enjoy it. But cooking for one, I think is like a really big issue for a lot of people. And I know that, like Brittany Bathgate and Shop from the Street, Lizzie Hadfield, both on their YouTube channels, they both now live on their own. And they say like they hate cooking for one, like you do all this meal prep and it's just for you. I actually take quite a lot of comfort in that. I don't know why. I think it's because like I'm cooking and I get to cook whatever I want to eat. I've got no one else to worry about. Like if I want burgers, I'm cooking burgers. If I want lasagna, I'm cooking lasagna. Like I can do whatever I like. And that's really nice. I feel like a lot of people would quite like to do whatever they want, and that's kind of the freedom you get from living on your own. So no, I've actually really enjoyed it, and I guess, yeah, okay, it's a lot of prep. Like I've been doing so many roasts for myself since Christmas Day because I just got like re-addicted to roasts, and I'm now obsessed with making roast potatoes every week. And that's like a lot of work to do. You know, roast potatoes, they take quite a while, like a good hour really, to do them properly. And I quite enjoy that I'm spending that amount of time to make something for myself to eat. I find that quite comforting. To me, it's not really a chore. I can understand why it would be for a lot of people. If you don't enjoy cooking, then obviously that's going to be your right pain to do all of that, but I quite enjoy cooking anyway. So for me to take the time and to make something that I'm excited to eat and that's really delicious, then that's almost a form of self-care for me. And I make quite a big deal about, I set my dinner table up, I put a placemat out, knives and forks, I light candles every evening. Like, I make a real thing about it, almost like I'm, you know, like cooking for myself, like a date or something, but it's just for me. So I'm not sat on the sofa just eating out of a bowl or anything. I make quite a big deal about it, and maybe that's the reason why it feels less of a chore, because it's quite a wonderful, not wonderful, but it's a nice experience to have with myself. So I really enjoy cooking. I've got a lovely big kitchen, so I can't really, you know, waste that. It's such a nice kitchen. I've got a great oven and everything, so I want to make the most of having those appliances because I feel very lucky to have them. And yeah, I just really enjoy it. And like I said, I think it's really important. I think a lot of it comes from setting the placemat out, lighting the candles. I have, you know, like a nice drink. I try not to have alcohol when I'm on my own, living alone. That's just a rule I made up for myself. I don't have any alcohol in the house. But I will have like a nice lemonade or like a fancy tonic water or something. I put on something that I want to watch during my meal. And yeah, and I don't have my phone with me when I'm eating as well. And I just make a big deal of it every night. And it's like an exciting thing, like it's dinner time. Like that's like my time to cook something nice for myself and eat it. So I quite enjoy all of that. Like it's quite almost therapeutic, and I think making a big deal out of it is what changes that. So far, the only time I've ever gotten a takeaway since living on my own is if somebody has come over when it was legal, obviously not during lockdowns, but if somebody's, when we were in like tier 2, you could have one person over, and I think I had a friend come visit me and we ordered pizza. But other than that, I've not had any takeaways, because I'm not a big takeaway person anyway. Firstly, they cost so much fucking money. I think it's such an extortionate amount of money to like sit and eat like slightly cold, gone soggy food. But it's different if somebody's with you, then it's a bit like more of a thing. But yeah, I think honestly, like the trick is to make a big deal out of it and to have really nice dinner times with yourself, and also make things in batch, so you only have to really cook once a week. I make like big batches of curry or big batches of pasta sauce I can use in a lasagna one night and a pasta bake the other night. And if you do that and just freeze it or keep it in the fridge, you really only have to cook like twice a week. Depends on the food that you like, obviously, but I find that really helps, because sometimes I'm not in the mood to cook, and then that's when I use those things. So yeah, no, cooking for one hasn't been that bad, but like I say, I think it's best to make a big deal about it so it doesn't feel like such a chore, and almost like just have a little date with yourself. It's really nice. Okay, this is a 2-part question, so I'm going to answer the 2 parts separately because I think they're quite different. But the question is, do you ever get lonely or miss the social part of living with other people? To me, they're quite different questions, so I'll answer the first one first. Do you ever get lonely? Honestly, no, not really. I think lonely would be the wrong word to use, because to me, loneliness is almost a feeling of having nobody. And I know that that's not the case for me. I have wonderful friends that live near me. My furthest friend is only a 20-minute walk away. So no, I don't ever feel lonely. I don't ever feel like if something happened, there wouldn't be someone there for me. So no, I don't feel lonely. And I know what loneliness feels like, because I definitely have felt it in the past, and I have not felt it since living here, basically. Or at least since the last couple of years. So no, I don't get lonely. But I think a lot of that is down to probably who I am as a person. I'm not going to speak for everybody, because I know that there are people who live alone who probably have felt really lonely this past year with everything going on. But the thing is, I think a lot of the reason why I haven't felt lonely is because I have a really good support group of friends. I have a mum and dad that text me every day to ask how I'm doing. I also, I hate bringing this up, but I am an only child and I don't have any siblings, and I honestly spent a lot of my childhood by myself making up games. I played every character in every role play game. You know, I am very used to being on my own, so I think a lot of that contributes to the fact that I don't get lonely living here. I'm also the kind of person who is incredibly comfortable in their own company. I actually find it very comforting to be by myself for many reasons, but mostly because when I'm on my own, nothing can go wrong. Like, if I'm by myself, I'm not going to annoy myself because I obviously like myself. You know, I'm not going to be mean to myself. No one's going to shout at me. No one's going to upset me. Like, when I'm by myself, I feel very safe. This is like a very safe space for me to be on my own. I also feel very safe in this building. I have a wonderful view of the outside, have 3 big windows. Like, I don't feel like I'm tucked away in like the back part of the building. I see people walking by, people wave at me, my neighbours come out the door and wave at me. So no, I honestly don't feel lonely. Like, I feel like there's something, Brighton isn't really a lonely place. Like, there's always things going on. People walk, like there's been a guy that's walked a potbelly pig past my window. Like, how can you feel lonely when you've got someone doing that, you know? Like, on a serious note, I understand that living alone isn't going to be for everybody, and I think that's honestly down to you if you're thinking about doing it. You have to think, are you the kind of person that can sustain long amounts of time on your own? I tend to not go more than 3 days without seeing Dan, Becky and Will, because they're amazing and they invite me over and we do dinners together, or they come over here. So I'm very lucky in that sense. But, you know, I do go for at least 48 hours without talking to anybody else. And for some people that would drive them insane. But for me, I have so many things to be getting on with. Like, I have like quite a lot of hobbies, and like content creating takes up so much of my time that I don't really have time to be lonely, to be completely honest. So no, I don't really get lonely, and I feel quite lucky to be able to say that. But yeah, I just really like being on my own. Like, I like getting up in the mornings, I make my coffee, I do all my bits. It's lovely. But like I say, if you're an overly sociable person, then that might be quite hard for you to adjust to. And then the second part of that question was, do you miss the social part of living with other people? So before I moved here, I had only ever lived with other people. First of being my mum and dad. Then I lived with my ex-boyfriend. Then I lived with my friend Sophie for 2.5 years, and then I moved here. So I'd only ever lived with people before living here. Do I miss the social side of living with people? Honestly, no. But that's, again, just me as a person. I absolutely loved living with all of those people. I loved living with my mum and dad. My mum and dad are 2 of my best friends. I literally adore them. They're like my favourite people on the planet. So loved living with them. Don't get me wrong, we had our arguments, but like I honestly did love living with them. When I lived with my ex, that was nice while we were doing it. And then when I moved in with Sophie, I absolutely loved living with Sophie. She's still one of my best friends. I absolutely love the girl. So I've loved living with everybody who I lived with, but I love living with myself more. And yeah, like I say, I think a lot of that is just down to who I am as a person. I, like I've said, take a lot of comfort in living on my own. And it's not that I disliked living with anybody else. I just prefer to not live with anyone else. And I think it's funny, I think it's going to be like quite hard to ever live with somebody again after doing this, which I kind of foresaw happening anyway. But I think, I mean, honestly, I probably won't live with anyone again now that I've done this. I think the only chance of that happening would be if I moved in with a partner. And that's probably not going to be happening for a long time anyway, because I have no plans to like try and find somebody. So I think that this will be how it is for the foreseeable, and I'm very happy with it being like that. I much prefer living by myself than living with anyone else. And like I say, it's not because I didn't enjoy living with those people, I just prefer to not live with people. But I'm just a bit of a loner anyway, so I think a lot of it's just down to that. Right, what is the next question? How do you maintain the cleanliness of your flat? Mild OCD. No, I'm joking. I shouldn't really say that because that's obviously like a real thing. But I don't have OCD. I've not been diagnosed with it, but I do have like, I really have a thing about things being in their place, and especially things being tidy. I'm pretty much the same as everybody else when it comes to cleanliness. Like, I do just clean the flat once a week. And well, I say that, I do like a deep clean once a week, but I clean the flat sort of daily, but I'm not cleaning it because nothing ever moves, because I make sure that it doesn't. But I clean like the kitchen after I've cooked and stuff like that. And if I see like a bit of dust, I have to dust it. And if there's something on the floor, I have to vacuum it. So at some point of every day, I actually have cleaned. But I only do like a proper deep clean of the entire flat once a week, sometimes twice. Sometimes I do it in the evening because I'm anxious about something and cleaning really calms me down. I'm a bit like Monica from Friends in that sense. But yeah, so that's that. I actually have no problems keeping the flat clean. That comes incredibly naturally to me. If you're a really messy person and you live on your own, just remember, it's only you there. So if the flat's an absolute tip, as long as you don't mind it, that's your business. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've not got anyone else to worry about. That's kind of the best thing about living alone. If you're worried about living on your own because it's going to be messy, then I would say just get into a habit of cleaning. But if you're a messy person anyway and you don't mind the mess, then that's just how you're going to live, and you've got no one else who's going to tell you otherwise. So I guess it doesn't really matter. I think just do it however you want to do it. But yeah, that's how I do it, at least. Like, literally everything. My flat kind of looks like a showroom. It looks like no one's ever touched it, but I do live here. But like I said, I just find it really easy to clean because I'm just a very clean and cleanly, well, that's not a word. I like things clean. The end. Okay, the next question is, what do you do to fight against loneliness? Okay, so like I said, I don't particularly get lonely, but if I feel like I'm gonna change it, because like I said, I don't particularly get lonely, but I'm gonna change it to what do I do to fight against getting down, maybe. Because we all have our down days, and that doesn't go away when you live on your own. And I don't get lonely, but I do get a little bit down sometimes. But it's not because I'm on my own, it's because like the world has gone to pure shit this year. And obviously I haven't hugged my mum and dad in nearly a year, and obviously that gets me down. And there's just other things like, you know, if you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day. Not always a lot you can do about it, unfortunately, but you just got to keep your chin up. So what do I do to fight against that? Honestly, this week, actually, I'll use this week as an example. This week's actually been quite tough for me because I've realised a lot of things, just personally. And I've not had like the best week. So what I kind of did was I took some time off, if that's possible for you, and I watched all 9 Star Wars movies. And then I started The Mandalorian. And I just kind of let it wash over me. I think sometimes there's a lot of emphasis on fighting that feeling. And although I never want to sit in that feeling for too long, because then that's when it wins, and that's when it takes over you, I don't think it's terrible to sometimes just let it happen. If you are down, that's okay. If you're sad, that's okay, and you don't have to get yourself happy straight away. So like I say, this week, honestly, I just took a break. I'm still working full-time through this lockdown as well, working from home, and I took 2 days off work, and I just had to stop because it was just getting a little bit too much. So if you're able to do that, then do that. If you're on furlough, use this time to really look after yourself. Do things that make you happy, even if you're not smiling through them. Like watching Star Wars always cheers me up, but I was still sat there down in the dumps watching Star Wars. But that thing that I find comforting was on the TV, and so it helped a little bit. I tried to get back into reading because I had been really crap at reading over the holidays. So that actually really helped me because it gave me like a sense of accomplishment that I had started reading again. I think make a little list maybe of things that you want to do, very small things, even if it's like take a shower, or you want to organise something, organise your wardrobe, or anything small that you think you can actually achieve, that's realistic to achieve. Like don't set yourself up for failure, obviously, like don't climb Mount Everest because that's not going to happen. Just do some little things so that you get that sort of kick of serotonin and of adrenaline, just so that you feel like you've done something, because I find that that's a big motivator for me in life anyway. I mean, you should see my diary, it's just full of tick boxes because I'm very motivated by checking things off. So if that doesn't work for you, then maybe think of something else, but try and just do 3 things on that day that you're feeling down, so you feel like the whole thing's not gone to complete pot. But if you're not able to do that, then you're not able to do that, and that is also absolutely fine. Yeah, I think honestly that's such a personal question, I can't really answer for anyone except myself. But those are the things that I try and do, and just sort of, you know, dip my toe into normal life again, and I just sort of try and get myself back to normal. But sometimes that takes a little while longer. I also try and make a change. Whatever it is that's making me feel down, get it out of my life. I'm pretty cutthroat when it comes to stuff like that, including when it's people. And you know, if somebody is making me feel like shit, they just go. I haven't got time for it. And I think a lot of the time it comes across like I'm not giving that person a chance, but life is just too short to be made to feel like crap by anything. And I'm a big believer of like, in the past, I've let things make me feel like pure shit for years and done nothing about it, and the only person that got hurt was me. So I just don't do that anymore. Like if something's making me feel sad, it's got to go. Unless it's like I've dropped a lasagna on the floor, obviously that's going to make me feel sad. I'm not just then never going to cook lasagna again. That's like a situational thing. But I mean, like in all seriousness, if something's making you feel sad, it's got to go, because there's just life is just too short. There's no time for it. And I think that's something that I've really realised over the last year. You know, with everything that's happened, people's lives are getting taken from them before their time. And it just made me realise, like, there's no time to lose. You've got to do what makes you happy, always. And even if that's little things, just do them. As long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone else, then all is well. And I think that's probably the best way to fight that feeling. Hopefully that was helpful. I feel like I went down a few tangents there, but there we go. Okay, and the last question is it boring? Is it boring? Not particularly. Sometimes I get bored, but I quickly fill that space with doing something. I think the trick here, if you're going to live on your own, is to make sure you are the kind of person who is good at filling time, because there's a lot of time to fill, especially at the moment where you can't go out and do stuff. Normally I love getting out in the morning. I love going for really long walks. I always say to my friends, I'm a bit like a dog. I need 3 walks a day and a belly rub. At the moment I'm having to give myself the belly rub because there's no one else to do it for me. No, I can't touch anybody because I don't want to die. But yeah, I love getting up and doing walks and stuff. So I very rarely get bored. I love reading books. I love creating content. Honestly, yesterday I was like making content from 9:30 in the morning and I didn't stop until 4. I stopped for a lunch break and that was it. So I haven't really got time to get bored. But then again, I think that's quite a personal question, because that's like, I just have those things to do. But I think honestly, when you live on your own, you kind of find lots of little projects to do. Like, I'll just organise my shoes or something. Like, it's never, there's never a lot of time to sit down, funnily enough. Or I find anyway, because I've always got some sort of idea that I want to achieve. So no, I personally don't get bored, but I can imagine that some other people would find it quite boring. But then at the same time, if your idea of doing something is sitting and watching a movie, then that's great. Like that, then you won't be bored. Like that can be your thing that stops you from getting bored. Sometimes that's me, especially when it's like Star Wars or Pride and Prejudice. Those are such different movies, but they are like literally my favourite movies. So yeah, honestly, I tend not to get bored, to be honest. And if I feel that feeling coming on, I just do something. Like I just start reading a book, or I watch RuPaul's Drag Race, or I move everything around on my shelves, or I do a wardrobe clean out, or I create content, get the camera out and shoot some content. There's always something to do. Go for a walk. There's always something to do. So no, I personally don't get bored. And I think if you were worried about that, if you're thinking of living on your own and you're like, oh, I'm gonna get so bored, just maybe just do what I said before, like just make a little list of things to do that day, and once you've achieved them, then you can sit down and watch a bit of telly, because it's like you've done everything for the day. So yeah, I personally don't get bored, but I'm sure some other people do. But like I say, you can always fill that time. You can never be bored for too long, I always think, because you're just gonna get up and do something. But yeah. Okay guys, that's all the questions for this video. I really enjoyed filming this. I hope you found it somewhat helpful. Obviously I can only talk from my own experiences, but I would love to do more videos like this and come up with more topics to talk about. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Give it a like if you did, subscribe if you haven't already, and do check out my blog rayofstyle.co.uk for weekly posts, and also go follow me on Instagram because I post really often on there too. Thanks so much for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!